Hello and welcome to another Rambling review from Adventures in TV Land. For this Rambling review, we're going to be talking about Superman, specifically James Gunn's Superman, or Superman 2025. The movie, it starts off in the middle. I mean, there's this tried to be clever prologue about, 300 years ago and 30 years ago and 3 years ago and so on and so forth. But it starts off after Superman has been defeated in his first ever battle. You learn that Superman, 3 weeks before that, stopped a war, stopped another country invading into another country. And that's caused a bit of controversy worldwide. I mean, both in the United States it has, politically, about the ramifications of Superman doing this, as well as the rest of the world, and about the metahumans, about the super beings in general. So that's kind of that starts off in the middle of that. He whistles for Crypto. Crypto comes, takes him to the Fortress of Solitude. He's able to heal himself through the power of the sun, and he returns to battle. The overall plot of the movie, in all honesty, is kind of lame, to be honest, because it's basically about Superman dealing with a PR controversy. That's what it comes down to. How this PR controversy about Superman, about his origins, and how he deals with that, and how that affects him and his ability to do good and to live a good life. Now, this conflict, it started by Lex Luthor. Luthor hates Superman, and he's determined to not only stop him, but if he can, eventually kill him. That is his primary goal. There are some great performances in this movie. The acting is solid. It's top notch. I really enjoyed the film. I've seen it more than once now. I liked it better the second time I saw it. With that said, there are some criticisms about the movie. First of all, make no mistake, this is a James Gunn movie. James Gunn, he is a very talented director. However, this film would have probably benefited better if it had someone else other than James Gunn directing it. It has all the little quirks in James Gunn's movies, and he does really good at bringing together characters that people may not be familiar with and shining a spotlight on them and developing them, which he does a really good job, for instance, in this movie, like with Mr. Terrific. I had never even heard of Mr. Terrific before this movie, so I had no idea anything about that character or anything like that, but he elevates him into something more than what the character really is in the comics. With that said, when this is a Superman movie, and there's more Superman in this movie than in Man of Steel, but there's hardly any Clark Kent, so that's disappointing. The fact that James Gunn focuses more on, even though they're not in the movie a whole lot, but he focuses on these other characters. And so Superman, this is a Superman movie, but Superman really isn't the focus for the most part. He is, but he isn't. Because it focuses on so many of these other elements. The movie is doing so many other things. It's setting the stage of this world. It's introducing characters that are going to be playing part later on in this expanded film universe that's being developed, and trying to give them a little bit of spotlight so people become familiar with them. And James Gunn also, he likes a lot of humor, and I think he uses it as a deflection when he doesn't know quite else what to do with something. I liked some of the humor in the movie, but there's a lot of the humor that it should have been cut. It shouldn't have been in there. There are also other kind of absurd things that could have just cut down a few minutes in the film, and the movie would not have lost anything without them. For instance, there is the scene with these monkeys in this little pocket dimension that are typing away at computers, typing away all this cyber hate at Superman. They're monkey bots that Lex Luthor is using to promote hate against Superman online. It's ridiculous, and it has no point in the movie. There's no reason at all for it even being there. Now, some of the craziness, the wackiness, I didn't mind it because it is based in the comic books, the Silver Age comic books especially, and so I didn't mind that, some of the zaniness. DC has always been a little more wild, a little more crazy. Marvel Comics, when they came into being, they were very much more grounded, very much more realistic. They dealt with more real issue problems. So I didn't mind some of the craziness, the zaniness, but there is that aspect. And James Gunn, that's what he specializes in that. He specializes in that and group dynamics and using humor in the films. And there's too much humor in it. in this movie. There are some scenes, they're very critical scenes, very emotional scenes that take place, and those scenes, they lose their emotional depth and charge because of the humor that takes place right after that. For instance, there's this really poignant scene between Superman and Lois Lane. They're having this conversation in this apartment, and in the background, through the glass doors and the glass windows, you see the Justice Gang fighting this interdimensional imp. Superman, I mean, he makes kind of, it's not really a joke, but Lois asked him, well, were you helping them? And he goes, oh, they've got that handled. Not really. I was looking for the dog, because Krypto, as part of the plot of this movie, I didn't discuss it, but so something's happened to Krypto, and Superman spends his time looking for Krypto to try to recover him and bring him back home. But that poignant moment there between Lois Lane and Superman, it's wrecked by the humor going on in the background. It's distracting. There's some funny things happening there in the background when they're fighting this intergalactic imp or whatever it is, but it distracts from the moment, from what should be the focus of what's happening. And that happens several times in this movie. With that said, as I mentioned before, I like this Superman. Christopher Reeves will always be my Superman, and it's probably the one on film and screen that comes closest to the character overall. But David Cornsweet in this film does a good job. It's a very hopeful film. It's a very optimistic film. It's very much more colorful. It's not gritty and dark in tone of Man of Steel and the Snyder movies, anything like that. This is a very much more bright film. It's very much more, like I said, hopeful, optimistic. Now, I know there are some criticisms people have had. They said, oh, Superman gets beat up all the time, or he gets beat up too much. Superman does get beat up in this film, but Superman never started out in the comics as being all-powerful. He grew into that over time as being this very, very extremely powerful being. He gained more powers over time. I mean, originally in the comics, Superman couldn't even fly. He could just jump really high and far, and eventually turned into flying. And his origin, his history, it's been retconned several times. I will say I did not like it, even though looking after seeing the film a second time, it didn't bother me quite as much the second time. But the retcon of Superman, his parentage, what they do to Jor-El and Lara, what they do to them there, his mission, why they send him to Earth, it does change his lineage. It could change his motivation, and it's kind of the source of the conflict in the movie, but that doesn't really change the character of Superman. This film, kids love this film, and they will continue to love it. I mean, it's not just because of Krypto, but to them, this will be their Superman in the future. It is a good Superman. He stands for good. He's not dark. He's not gritty. He's lighthearted. He is human. The other aspect, talking about the criticisms in the movie, there was a moment in the movie towards the end where James Gunn, he didn't have to say the exact words, Superman standing for truth, justice, and the American way, in that order. But there was a moment towards the end of the movie, Superman is talking with Lex Luthor, and it was the perfect moment. He could have talked about truth and justice and the American way, because Superman is, even though he was regarded the world over, he is an American hero. I wish this movie would have laid into that some more, showing him not that he's just human, but that he's also an American. American is apple pie and baseball and burritos. This has been another rambling review from Adventures in TV Land. Thank you for watching. Until next time, that's a wrap.